Hi everybody, this is Kara from the North Liberty Branch Library, and I am here tonight for another Saturday night adult storytelling. And the tale I'm going to tell tonight is called The Three Heads in the Well, and this is from Joseph Jacobs' English Fairy Tales book, which you can get for free actually on Amazon. So let's begin. Long ago, before King Arthur and his knights kept court at Camelot, there lived in the eastern part of England a king who kept his court at Colchester. In the midst of all his glory, his wife died, leaving him with an only daughter, about 15 years of age, who was so beautiful that she was the wonder of all who knew her. The king, hearing of a lady who likewise had an only daughter, had a mind to marry her for the sake of her riches, though she was ugly, hook-nosed, and hunchbacked. Her daughter was a yellow dowdy, of ill nature and full of envy, about the same mould as her mother. Despite this, the king brought his deformed bride to the palace, attended by their nobles and dignitaries, and they were married. Not long after the wedding, the new queen and her daughter set the king against his own daughter by false reports. The princess, saddened after having lost her father's love, grew so weary of the court that one day, meeting the king in the garden, she begged him to let her go and seek her fortune. He consented, telling her mother to give her what she will. So the girl went to her stepmother, who gave her a canvas bag of brown bread and hard cheese, and a small bottle of beer. And then the girl went on her way. It wasn't long before she came to a man sitting at the mouth of a cave. He was old and gray, and he said, "Where are you going so quickly, young maiden?" "Aged father," she said, "I am going to seek my fortune." "What have you got in your bag and bottle?" "In my bag I have got bread and cheese, and in my bottle a good small beer. Would you like to have some?" "With all my heart," the old man said, and they sat down to eat some of her provisions together. After they were done, he thanked her, and he said, "Beyond you is a hedge which you cannot get through. But take my wand and tap it 3 times and say, 'Pray, hedge, let me through,' and it will open for you. Beyond that, you will see a well, and when you sit down at the well, 3 heads will pop up, and whatever they require of you, do that." She promised she would, and then she went on her way. When she came to the hedge, she tapped the old man's wand 3 times and said, "Pray, hedge, let me through," and it opened for her. And then, going through, she came to the well and sat down on the edge. One golden head popped up to the surface, singing, "Wash me and comb me and lay me down softly, and lay me on the bank to dry, that I may look pretty when somebody passes by." So she took the head and she combed its hair with a silver comb, and she set it on the primrose bank. Then a second and a third head popped up, singing the same, and she combed them and sat them on the bank as well. Then she sat down to eat more of her provisions. Meanwhile, the heads conferred among each other. "What shall we weird for this girl who has used us so kindly?" they wondered. The first said, "I shall weird for her to be so beautiful that she shall charm the most powerful prince in the land." The second had said, "I weird for her to have such a lovely voice that shall far exceed the nightingale." The third had said, her being a king's daughter, I shall weird for her to marry the most handsome prince in the land." Then the girl let the heads back down in the well and went on her way. Soon she came across a king hunting in the park with his nobles. She tried to avoid him, but he caught sight of her and approached. And what with her beauty and her sweet voice, he fell desperately in love with her and soon convinced her to marry him. When he discovered that she was the king of Colchester's daughter, he ordered for his chariots to be got ready, so that they may pay the king, his father-in-law, a visit. The chariots were adorned with gold and jewels, and when the king of Colchester saw how lucky his daughter had been in seeking her fortune, there was a grand celebration enjoyed by all, except the queen and her daughter, who were ready to burst with envy. The celebration lasted a few days, and then the new king and queen went away with her dowry. The stepsister, the club-footed stepsister, seeing how lucky her sister had been in seeking her fortune, thought that she would do the same. So she went to her mother and asked to go. And all provisions were made. She was adorned with the finest dresses and given sugar, almonds, sweetmeats, and a large bottle of wine. And she went on her way. When she came to the man sitting at the mouth of the cave, he said, "Where are you going so quickly, young maiden?" She said, "What's it to you?" So he said, "What have you got in your bag and bottle?" And she said, "Good things which you shall not be troubled with." So he said, "Will you let me have some?" And she replied, "No, not a bit, not a drop, unless it would choke you." The old man frowned, and he said, "Evil fortune attend ye." Beyond him, the girl came to a hedge where there was a small gap, which she thought to get through. But as she passed, the thorns closed in on her and scratched her skin, so that when she got out, she was scratched all over. She looked around for some water to wash herself and sat down at the well, where one head popped up singing, "Wash me and comb me and lay me down softly," as it had before. But she banged it with her bottle and said, "Take that for your washing." Then the second and the third heads came up, but they were met with no better treatment than the first. Then they conferred among each other with what evils they should plague her with for such usage. "Let her be struck in the face with leprosy," said the first. The second said, "Let her voice be as harsh as a corncrake's." The third said, "Let her have for a husband but a poor country cobbler." The girl went on her way and soon came to a town, and it being market day, the people looked at her, and seeing her mangy face and hearing her squeaky voice, they all fled from her, all but a poor country cobbler. Now, recently he had mended the shoes of an old hermit, who, having no money to give him, had paid him with ointment for the cure of leprosy and a bottle of spirits for the cure of a harsh voice. Thinking to do an act of charity, he went up to her and he asked her who she was. "I am," she said, "the king of Colchester's daughter." "Well," said the cobbler, "if I should restore you to your natural complexion and give you a cure for both face and voice, will you in reward take me as your husband?" "Yes, friend," she said, "with all my heart." So the cobbler applied the remedy, and she was well within a few weeks, and they were married, then returned to the court at Colchester. The queen, learning that her daughter had married nothing but a poor country cobbler, fled into the woods and was never seen again. The king, so pleased by his wife's disappearance, for he was glad to be rid of her so soon, offered to give the cobbler £100 to quit the palace and settle in a far remote part of part of the land where he remained for many years, mending shoes, his wife spinning thread.